everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Petey. Craig is on flight 1 of 3, I believe, on his way across the pond with his family. So you're stuck with me and Petey for the next 3 weeks. And somehow Craig leaves and Petey has merged into Craig's role. He's in a press box wearing a button-down shirt. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I thought if you're going to take over for the adult of the show, I figured I would act like an adult today. So that's kind of my plan. I don't think it'll last for 3 weeks, though.
Can you show people where you are right now?
So here I am. We're at American Airlines Center. We're getting ready for Game 6, Western Conference. And by the way, it's Monday, holiday. Really thought I'd be home in Arizona enjoying the holiday weekend with my family. But no, the Dallas Stars and Vegas Knights had other plans. And here we are. And if there's a very good chance I'm jumping back on a plane to fly back to Vegas tomorrow. And I mean, I'm literally planning on it because that's the way this is going. So anyway, glad to be here today and talk a little more Arizona hockey.
Yes, excited. I feel like I barely talked to you in the last week or so. So I'm looking forward to getting this time, and we'll talk more about Game 6 later in the show and what we think could happen. But we're going to talk about a few different things today. The first is the game that completely changed the entire NHL postseason in one random regular season game. We're also going to talk about the Coyotes Twitter account, and we're going to talk about Bruce Cassidy's shot at the Coyotes. So lots of Coyotes talk as well. Hang with us, but let's first talk about this random game on April 11th, Petey, between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Chicago Blackhawks. Normally an April game like HK, especially HK for Chicago, they were long out of the playoffs. Pittsburgh maybe a little more important, fighting for their lives. And Petey, this game seemed maybe just important for the Penguins for their playoff hopes, actually had a huge butterfly effect on like at least half a dozen teams and the entire NHL postseason.
You know, it's funny when you look at a game like this and there's so many implications on a Pittsburgh-Chicago game. At this time of the year, Chicago's trying to get last. They're still trying to get in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. At this time, we don't know what happens. So this is before the ping pong balls drop. And Pittsburgh is scratching to get into the playoffs. Scratching. Florida's outside looking in right now. On this day in hockey history, Pittsburgh is in. Florida is out. All Pittsburgh has to do is beat the lowly Chicago Blackhawks at home in Pittsburgh. Like, this is a friggin' slam dunk. Chicago has struggled. Up to this point, Chicago had lost 3 games in a row by a combined 14-5 coming into this game. 14-5. They had sucked. Mrazek gave up 7 against the Kraken just 3 days earlier, and now he's going to start in this game in Pittsburgh. This is set up to be a blowout. Pittsburgh needs it. Crosby's on fire. Mrazek sucks. Chicago needs to lose. Pittsburgh needs to win. So clearly Pittsburgh's going to win this game, right? Wrong. And I tell you, so Mrazek is in fuego. Stops 38 of 40. Crosby has 8 shots on goal. No points. No points for Sidney Crosby. And this turns the tide of hockey history. This one game between these two teams changes hockey history in ways we still don't know yet because the series is not over yet for the Florida Panthers.
Literally, Chicago won 2 of their last 14 games. 2. And this was 1.
And this is a key one because of the other ones they win, it's fine. Like you see their points, but this is the one that pushes Pittsburgh out of the playoffs and propels Florida, who really gets in only because of this Pittsburgh loss. And you've seen how dominating Florida has been in the playoffs. And I tell you what, this is an argument to have that play-in round. This is an argument to get those teams 9, 10, and 11 in because you might have stories like this in the playoffs. They've been the best team. Like they've been outstanding in this playoffs after knocking off the Boston Bruins. It'd be a shame if if the Matthew Tkachuk story didn't take place or the Bobrovsky reemergence didn't take place because of this, and it's all because of the Pittsburgh Penguins blowing up at home against Chicago. And let's look at Chicago's side of it. They thought they needed this loss to get the best Bedard numbers, to get the best odds in the ping pong balls. And if not for this game, it might be the Columbus Blue Jackets getting Connor Bedard, because if all the ping pong balls rearrange, this is the Blue Jackets. So all of these things in hockey. So Connor Bedard goes to the Blue Jackets, changes their franchise forever, all on one game in April that is completely meaningless. It's unbelievable to me.
It's insane. So first of all, if Pittsburgh won the game, they're making the playoffs. Florida's out. We're not where we are right now with Florida. They've been just waiting patiently to find out who they're playing in the Stanley Cup Final. The Blackhawks, like you said, they don't get Connor Bedard because Columbus would get the first pick. Chicago would have gotten the second pick and the Ducks third. So it actually would have screwed the Ducks too, I guess you can say. The Montreal Canadiens had skin in this game. They would have gotten a second top 15 pick in this generational draft. So now we have this. It's affecting Pittsburgh. It's affecting Chicago. It's affecting Columbus, Anaheim, Montreal. So that's 5 teams off the bat that this one 5-2 April 11th game affect.
That is unbelievable. To think of all of those things happening before, and I don't want to call it a meaningless game because that's not fair. We just showed all the meaning. But this is a game that the Pittsburgh Penguins should have won. They should have won. All of the stars were aligned for them to have a game like this. And Mrazek had played well during the season, but Mrazek, he petered off during the end of the year too. And I said in his last game in Seattle, he gave up 7. This is a game everywhere on paper looked like this was going to be a Pittsburgh win, and Pittsburgh scratches their way back into the playoffs and keeps the longest streak in National League playoff history going, and they keep going. Not an active streak, I'm sorry, not longest in history, but the playoff streak alive, and it doesn't happen. It is absolutely astounding to me how teams can't win games that they're supposed to win when it's that important at home with players like Malkin and Crosby playing in the game. And by then, Chicago had no one. They traded everyone away, and they had given up, to be honest. They lose the next game, the last game of the season, but it wasn't enough to get them into last. So it's a fantastic hockey story that people will talk about, especially if Florida goes on to win the Stanley Cup. People will be talking about that game in April for a very long time.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then the other thing you have to think about, so if Pittsburgh had won, Florida's out. Pittsburgh, they were kind of struggling to get in. Imagine if Boston didn't go against Florida. Would Boston have rolled over their other opponent? What would have happened with Toronto? Are we looking at Boston in the Cup Final right now? Like everybody had predicted. Does Toronto get in? Like there's so many what ifs. That also
I didn't thought about that. Boston angle of it, it's really interesting because if Boston has another opponent, you're right. The Florida matchup for them was a tough one, and part of it was the goaltending that Bobrovsky played later in the playoffs. Lion, they had a 3-1 lead over this Florida team, and just failed to put them away. If they can put their new opponent away early, then you give Ullmark some rest, and then who knows? You're right, Leah. We could be looking at a Boston Bruins awaiting the finals. Instead, we're not. And maybe Toronto gets over. There's so many little pieces to this. The what if game and the butterfly effect of that one game makes such a difference to this whole dynamics of the 2023 playoffs.
Yeah, and Sports Genius in the chat said Pittsburgh ended up firing their president and GM after missing the playoffs. So
maybe they have jobs.
Maybe they have jobs. Maybe that all stays the same. And then Charles said, would be interesting to see how this all plays out over the next few years for all the teams affected by this one game. It literally is like throwing a rock in a lake and the ripple goes across the lake, and that is going to be the next few years for all the teams that we just mentioned are affected by this.
So let's put this in next year's show. When Craig goes on vacation again, we'll revisit it again and see where we're at with the draft picks and all that.
Instead of Trade Talk Tuesday, it's
exactly
flashback or throwback Thursday or something.
Love
flashback Friday.
Actually, that's a good bit. Write that down. We need that.
Somebody remember this when we're trying to come up with shows for next season. But it is insane. And it's funny because this obviously worked out extremely well in Florida's favor. You think about the Coyotes and how normally when it's a ripple effect, it's something not in their favor.
Right.
So maybe one day we'll be talking about, this is the game that completely changed the Arizona Coyotes for the better. Not quite for them. They probably would have still ended up picking 6th or 7th or landing the 6th or 7th pick in the NHL draft lottery. At this point, we're just grateful they didn't drop in the draft lottery.
Exactly.
But it's just insane. And I just feel like every day, Petey, we were seeing more and more things come out about this one game and how it impacted the postseason. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see who Florida ends up playing. Obviously, once the matchup's set, we'll preview that. But for me right now, I feel like this is Florida's Stanley Cup to lose. I mean, they're on a heater. They're giving me LA Kings in 2012 vibes. Yeah. And it's just crazy because there was a time where I was like, oh, Florida's barely going to make it in. And if they do, like, they're playing Boston. There's no way.
Yeah.
And they're just having this dream run. And it all comes down to this freaking game on a Tuesday in April. Like,
that's unreal.
It's so bizarre. It's so freaking bizarre. And if you were betting on this game, I'm sure Chicago were heavy underdogs. And if you bet on the Blackhawks, you could have won yourself some coin. Just saying. Also, if you had a future on the Florida Panthers.
Then? Leah,
yeah, to win the
before that game, they weren't even in the playoffs. You could have had to win the East. Can you imagine the odds to win the East? Oh my goodness. Crazy.
It's insane. And right now they have the best. I mean, obviously they have the best odds to win the cup because they're the only team in the final.
Team there.
But they're plus 105 to win the Stanley Cup right now. Like,
that's crazy.
That's insane. That's insane. All of that is on BetMGM. And if you want to bet on the NHL playoffs, you can do so. We have a game tonight. I've been getting the free bets when you log into BetMGM on Wednesdays and Saturdays. They just give you a free bet for logging in. I've been sprinkling that. I put one on, I think I actually have a Dallas Stars Stanley Cup future. So we'll see. They could come back. I also put money on Bobrovsky to win the Conn Smythe. So just a lot of stuff you can do on BetMGM. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, make sure you do so. And when you do, sign up using the bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you'll get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use that bonus code PHNX. You can check out the show notes for full details. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Petey, so I went to the D-backs game on Saturday, and when I was walking out, you know how like sometimes when you're walking out, the ushers just hand you like coupons or whatever,
yep.
And normally it's like something I don't really care about. This woman was at the door and she hands me this little card, 10 cents off gas at Circle K through August 31st.
Wow.
I was like, hell yeah.
Wow.
That was like one of the
You're going to be at Circle K anyway, and then you can go watch yourself on the gas pump. Have you seen yourself yet?
I haven't, and I swear to God, like in the last week, 10 different people have texted me. Like people I haven't talked to in years have been like, I saw you on the gas pump. So
that's awesome. I gotta get back and get some gas.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Also, my friend saw me like in Snowflake, Arizona. Like it's not just Phoenix.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Just wild. So if you want to see my face elsewhere on the Circle K gas pump, or just get great gas / go into their store and check out all their amazing snacks and drinks, check out Circle K, especially it's heating up. Go inside, grab a Polar Pop, and right now you can join the SMS subscriber club. Text PHNX to 31310 to get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. You can head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. Petey, one more note about Florida before we move on. We have this crazy tweet that somebody figured out. Sean, if you can pull up that tweet. So this is from Adam Vingan, said, mind-boggling stat from the NHL. The Panthers were in a playoff spot for only 28% of the regular season. That's 54 of 190 days. They're the only team in the NHL's expansion era since 67-68 to reach the final after spending less than 30% of the season in a playoff spot.
Wow, and that's funny because when you go back, and I know inside the coaches room, you always say there's telling moments of the season, and one of those is American Thanksgiving, that if you can be in a playoff spot in American Thanksgiving, that you're very good and more than likely to get into the playoffs. Well, this Florida team was rarely, if ever, in a playoff spot. And you thought, oh man, what happened to Florida? They were President's Trophy winners a year ago, and now they're not going to make the playoffs. And yet here we are. It's absolutely amazing. It's
like that stat is insane. Once again, everything good seems to happen to everyone but the Coyotes. And wow, I really didn't think about anything this weekend at all, but now I'm going to think about it again. Obviously, The Coyotes are not in a great spot. Homeless, kind of, once again, uncertain future. We know this. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks. But the Arizona Coyotes Twitter account has taken a unique approach to how they're dealing with this. That being humorous, completely changing the tone and voice of the account, which I feel like every sport team Twitter account has a voice. Vegas Golden Knights, for example, is a perfect one that has a very unique voice. They kind of changed the way sports teams do Twitter, kind of started with LA back in their early cup run days in the 2010s, but we see it with Vegas. We see it a little bit with Seattle, with Dallas, excuse me, like teams aren't just doing, boring, I guess, corporate tweets, which I think is great. I think there's a line to walk. And I'll be the first one to say that when this all started and the first couple of tweets the Coyotes put out after the failed vote, I thought they were funny. And I get why people would be upset with it because like maybe it's making light of the situation, but at the time it's like, let's just like have some fun with this, have some humor. So the first one when they tweeted out like, where should they build their new arena with a fan vote? Like obviously they're not letting the fans decide, but it's just a way to at least I think assert we have plans to stay here. Like that's what that was to me. And then it started to toe the line because then they sent this tweet. If this tweet gets 20K likes by the end of the day or whatever it was, we will release our arena plan. So we have the tweet and they published a website below, like it got the 20K. And you click on it and it's a Rickroll, which is just a way to troll people, basically. So basically saying, haha, like, no. And ever since then, it has gotten more and more silly, I guess you can say. More polls, like where should they relocate, Arizona or Arizona? Should they relocate, no or no? Then the Twitter account has taken on a mind of its own, basically saying like, hi, it's me, I'm admin, which is weird because people will make jokes, I feel like, on Twitter accounts like, oh, admin did this, admin did that. Like we know that there's people who run these accounts. I think that's the age of social media we're in now. But there's very much this like self-awareness with the Twitter right now about, oh, I'm admin. Do you like admin? Polls about admin. They tweeted this meme about admin with a bus, like with great power. They tweeted, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm only doing this for you fans. XOXO. Admin with the meme of a bus, Coyotes front office trying to log admin out, and then the train, Coyotes admin hitting the bus. So that's a very, very, very long summary. Obviously, there's way more tweets. You can check it out at Arizona Coyotes. But Petey, I know you have thoughts on how this is all unfolded, so I'm going to throw it to you.
So here's where I'm at. I've got to watch where I go with this. First of all, I'm 55 years old. I'm not an original Twitter user. Twitter's not my vibe. I'm on it all the time now for work. I get it. It's funny and there's humor and I'm trying to get people to laugh and enjoy your content. I get that. Unfortunately, in this scenario, me personally, I found it offensive to me because I worked there. I put a lot of my time, blood, sweat, tears into the organization of the Arizona Coyotes, as many of the fans of this organization has done. And they've been the butt of jokes for 20 years. It's been, oh, you're a joke franchise, you're in a joke building, you're in a joke team. And I'm so tired of getting picked on. I don't need the organization to remind people and give them more reason to tease the organization that you're making. What? Like vote on what? I couldn't understand why you would want to intentionally continue to propagate the joke when you clearly lost the vote. And if the vote if you don't lose the vote, you are now, it's all positive. You're moving forward and everything is great. Instead, hey, look at us. We're the clown. Laugh at us. We're funny. No, you're not funny. You lost the freaking vote. It's not funny. You should have won the vote. You should have done more things to make sure you got the vote. You should have got more young people to vote. You should have got the message out sooner. And you should have tried to win the vote so you don't have to be a joke. And now that you are a joke, I don't understand why you want anybody laughing at you. And I get clicks. I understand clicks because I'm in the business of getting clicks. We try to get clicks at PHNX. We are not a pro sports organization. I don't know how getting clicks and going, oh, look how many likes we got, or look how much engagement we got. I don't know how that sells tickets. I don't know that how that sells ownership of the team to the fan base. I don't know that how it gets people to gravitate to your brand. It just gets you clicks. How do you put a revenue amount on those clicks and those likes and that engagement? You don't, especially when a lot of that engagement is negative. It's from people outside of the community of Arizona that is your fan base. That's who's clicking. That's who's engaging. Is that what you're after? I really struggle with this. And I know I actually talked to people in our Discord about it. And there were a lot of people going, I think it's funny. They're getting the trolls, and people took that view. So I tried to take that, and I tried to take it and be a little bit light with it. But again, it's like kicking us when we're down. Don't do this to the fan base. Let's be positive. Let's try to find answers. Inform us. Tell us. Don't tease us and make us the joke. Help us, bind us, combine us against you, us against the world. And I guess I'm missing that message if that's what they're trying to send, because I may be not their core audience, and I might not be the one that they're trying to get engaged and think that this is funny. And maybe I'm just too darn old to get it.
I don't think that's true, because like I said, I thought it was funny in the start. I really did. And I thought, and people were kind of hating in the beginning, but I thought, like, whatever, like, let's just use humor to cope. I mean, that it's a coping mechanism. Sure. We have to talk about it. We have to get through it somehow. Let's just use a little bit of humor. Again, in the beginning, I thought it was funny. Last Friday, when they sent the poll, should the Coyotes relocate? And the only two options were no and no. Like, that one, like, I don't know. I almost had like a visceral reaction to it of feeling upset by it. And that's it sparked a huge conversation in our Discord. A lot of people using the word cringe to describe it.
Yeah.
And you did poll kind of the Discord and get people's thoughts. I've pulled a couple of the thoughts. So like somebody said, I get that they're trolling, but it's a bit cringe at this point. Somebody said, initially I thought too soon after the vote, but in retrospect, it's a tough balance. So there were both sides. People talking about how hard corporate social media is. That's another thing I can totally understand. Somebody said it's dumb and obnoxious, but so is 99% of what's on Twitter, which is fair. And this one I want to read, actually, and I'll give him credit. It's from Dave in our Discord. He said, the first couple were okay. I actually thought the poll with Mesa, Scottsdale, etc. was a clever way to focus on the reality that there are still viable options in AZ. The Rick roll was borderline, which that's exactly how I feel. But then he went on to say, now it looks Mickey Mouse at a time when the credibility is already shaky. If I were Keller, Bear, or GMBA, I'd be pissed. The Coyotes did a lot last year to establish credibility on the ice, and as an organization building for the future, this undermines that very quickly. And I would have to agree with that. And Craig even reported, if you read his most recent mailbag last week, he said that the players and agents are not happy about this. So we spent a whole show last week talking about if there's no future plan in place, that this could really affect the Coyotes core. Keller, Schmaltz, Krause, Fisher, like those guys might not have the patience for this anymore. So to make light of the situation where you're actually pissing off those people more, when like what you should be focusing on is, hey, we're trying to find a solution. And listen, like if they can't talk about where they are in that process right now, that's fine. And that's why, like Dave in the Discord said, and like I agree, that first poll was fine, because I think it was re-emphasizing that there is a commitment to Arizona. And I do think that part of it's great. But like you said, the Coyotes have been the butt of the joke of the NHL for years, and this only perpetuates that. And I don't like that it's pissing off the players and agents. I would rather make them happy than us. And obviously the fans are already pissed and upset and already feeling all sorts of emotions about this whole thing. It's just like, I don't know if I was the Coyote social media manager, I don't know how I would approach this. Like, this is a huge challenge, and we're even struggling as a daily Coyotes podcast, like how we'd get through this 5 days a week. But I just think it's taken too many steps over the line. And if it's pissing off the players, then that's all I need to know for it to not continue.
Yeah, I get the funny, but it's not funny when you're the joke.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't know who's doing it. I don't know who. I understand social media's goal as a social media manager is to get clicks. That's your goal. I get it. And at some point that, again, I don't think it's funny when you're the joke. If you're putting out tweets like this and you're the Vegas Golden Knights and you're one win away from going to the Stanley Cup Final, yuck it up. Laugh it up, put people down, troll people because you're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. When you're year after year and last, you don't have arena, you're playing a small building, you're the butt of the joke of the league for years. Why would you continue to throw out stuff that people can laugh at you? I just don't get why you want and are encouraging people to make more fun of you. I just if you're going to send those tweets, send none. Like, you're better off doing none. The best tweet they sent in the last 3 days was all of the guys at the World Championships winning a gold medal.
Yeah, because it felt real.
It felt real.
It felt serious.
You're combine the community, join the community together. We're all fighting this together, and send out the message. We're not going anywhere. Don't even have to make fun of it. Make it serious. We're not going anywhere. We're here. Yeah. We support our fan base. Hockey belongs in the desert, and then show the Kachinas, show the high school hockey program, show Matthew, show Nyes, show hockey belongs here. Bind the community instead of saying, hey, here we are. We're the joke again. We're the clown in the room. Yeah. Here, watch me dance. Like, I don't get it. Sorry. I'm done. That was it.
That was, I think, something, and I want to give a shout out to Patrick Brown, who a friend of the program, and he works for the Coyotes, and he on his personal Twitter tweeted hey, reply to this thread with how, I forget the exact tweet, but how hockey is, effectively in Arizona, great. And people were replying unbelievable stories and even
pictures, and it was unbelievable.
So
love that thread.
I feel like that's what we need more.
That was organic, and that was community binding. That was great. There's people going to games with their kids. It was people learning to skate at the various ice rinks in town. That was phenomenal, and that made me feel like Arizona hockey bonded the group together. And I actually, after looking at that tweet, I looked through some of the old tweets of me and my son as he grew up through the hockey community through Arizona. And I thought that struck a chord with me. It really did. And so that, again, not funny. I don't know if I got many clicks, but it got the engagement that brought us all together. And I guess, I want to leave this by, I'm not a social media manager. I don't know the job. I'm in my 50s. So I a little grain of salt. There were a lot of people in our Discord that thought it was funny. Yeah. So it is getting the engagement it's desired. Right. This is my opinion. Clearly, this is my opinion. Yeah. And, I just hope that there is an announcement soon, that there's a serious plan, that we move on from this. And finally, we can stop talking about this goddamn arena. That's what I hope.
Me too. And David in the chat said, I encourage the admin embracing the villain role. People are going to hate the Yotes regardless, so might as well lean into it. Great. Listen, I'm open to hearing all sides of the argument, and I can understand all sides as well. And we really did have a good discussion in our Discord, and that's why we kind of wanted to talk about it today, because there are a lot of sides. The last thing I'll say about the topic is kind of alludes to what you said about the Golden Knights comment. If the Coyotes, let's just say the vote failed, and literally the next day or the next week they say, okay, it's okay because we had a plan B. Here's our plan B. This is the plan XYZ. This is happening, blah, blah, blah. Then I'd be fine with the trolling, because it's saying haha, F you all wanted us to move, but we're not. The problem is there's still that uncertainty now.
They still could move.
This could still fail.
And then it's not funny.
Then it's not funny at all. So unless there's something we don't know and they are very serious, or it's happening and we just don't know yet, that's the only way this is really appropriate to me, because
that's fair.
If this fails and the team ends up leaving and this is how they were acting, that is so embarrassing. And it's so embarrassing as a fan of this team. So listen, I understand both sides, but yeah. But speaking of our diehards having a really, diehards having a really great conversation. We actually had diehards write an open letter to Alex Morello, asking him to speak. And this is really one of the cool things I think about PHNX. We talk about community and the hockey community and what our Discord is, and these shows and our live chats here on YouTube. It fosters this community. So a group of PHNX Coyotes diehards got together and wrote an op-ed, and we published it at gophnx.com. You can read it. It was written by Chris Kiefer, with contributions from a number of our diehards. It's right now on the website, an open letter to Arizona Coyotes Alex Morello from a group of PHNX Sports diehards. We need to hear from you. And again, it just goes to show kind of the pulse of the fan base. And on Twitter, even once we tweeted out the link to the article, there was still disagreement about whether or not, Alex Morello should speak or needs to speak. But, that's what's great about giving people the opportunity to voice their opinions, and great about what PHNX fosters in that community and giving fans of this team a voice. There's a number of fans who are extremely frustrated. So if you want to read that article, you can do so at gophnx.com. And thank you again to the diehards who contributed, to Chris for spearheading that. And we hope you support them by reading it, and let us know what you think if you agree that you want to hear from Alex Morello. But lots of great perks to becoming a diehard. Obviously, like I said, the Discord is a great place to be. You also get 20% off on merchandise, 20% off on events, including our upcoming trip to Nashville, which is now, I think, just like 4 weeks away. 3 weeks. I think we leave 3 weeks. No, we leave 4 weeks from today.
Better not be 3 weeks, because Craig will still be in Europe. And we might be on like game 15 of this series by then. God, let me come home.
4 weeks from today. Oh my gosh. 4 weeks from today, we're going to Nashville. And we want you to come with us. And if you're a diehard, you get 20% off all of our events. So please join us in Nashville. It's going to be a ton of fun. And check out phnxlocker.com to grab your membership and receive exclusive content discounts on all events and merch, and access to our Discord chats. We absolutely love it. Petey, it's really a bummer you've been out of town, because we've gotten some food to the office, including last week we had illegal Pete's. I got queso.
No.
I was eating queso at my desk. Shout out Max. And I think we're getting illegal Pete's again tomorrow. Man, it's just...
and I need lunch. As soon as this show is over, I get to go have lunch, and guess where I'm not having it?
Illegal Pete's, because I don't think they have it in Dallas, unfortunately.
They do not.
For you. But fortunately for those of us in Arizona, or even if you're in Colorado, you can stop by Illegal Pete's. Amazing. Oh, it's so good. And kick off Memorial Day right. And starting May 26th, which earlier in the week, all Illegal Pete's locations have extended their happy hour 3 to 8 p.m. every day. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Get in on that. They also have a new spicy margarita that I cannot wait to try. Their margaritas are amazing. But you can stop by the Tucson or Tempe locations for a house beer bucket for you and the whole crew. 5 pints for $15. Soak up the sun with a loaded burrito and crisp beer on the patio. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. All right. Last thing. Game 6 tonight, obviously, Vegas. It's crazy, by the way, how the NBA and the NHL are like mirroring each other. Like, one series was a sweep, over, done with, and the other is like the lower team is fighting back. So we'll talk about what we think is going to happen in a second. But first, I want to talk about Bruce Cassidy's comments in the ricochet shot at the Arizona Coyotes. So if you missed it, was this in like post practice or post game?
That was the post game press conference.
Okay, so this was Bruce Cassidy in his post game press conference. Here's what he had to say, and the shot toward the Arizona Coyotes.
The desperation was we had 24 giveaways. I'm not sure you're beating the Arizona Coyotes in January with 24 giveaways. No disrespect to Arizona, but it's not the right way to play. 24 giveaways. I mean, we're trying to go to the Stanley Cup Final.
No disrespect to Arizona.
No, that's not the way to start a conversation with your loved ones. No offense, but, or your coworkers. No offense, but, like, come on. And again, this goes back to what we said before about Arizona being a joke. Poor Arizona. Like, he could have picked any other franchise. Anybody. He could have said Chicago or Columbus, the teams that actually got last in the standings. Pick them. Why Arizona? And this, again, they're the joke of the league, and it's so frustrating. And it's funny because I had dinner last night with the travel guy from the Vegas Golden Knights, and afterwards he just said he just laughed. Like, Bruce, he didn't mean anything by it. It was no offense. They played poorly, and they can't play a game like that in the playoffs. And he clearly didn't mean anything to the Coyotes. And as soon as he said it, he goes, gosh, I probably shouldn't have said that. He just meant we can't play against the lower teams in the league like that, more or less the Dallas Stars, who are a premier team. I completely understand it. It's just, again, why Arizona? Like, why? Say anybody else. Like, say a midget team, or say we couldn't play that way against a junior team or a college team. Then people would have said, oh, we couldn't beat our AHL team like that. Okay. The Arizona Coyotes, fuel to the fire to being a Coyotes fan.
PD, the irony is they couldn't have beat the Arizona Coyotes in January because they didn't. And we have the stats to prove
We
it.
have the receipts.
January 22nd, the Coyotes beat the Golden Knights 4-1. And he said, with all those giveaways, they can't even beat the Coyotes. Well, the Knights only had 2 giveaways in that game. The Coyotes actually had 18, but still it was a 4-1 final in January for the Coyotes against the Golden Knights. So
I will say this, Leah.
We came ready with the receipts.
It is fun when you have the receipts. It is. And that's the irony of the whole comment, because he literally off the cuff made it. And everybody I knew, from Coyotes people in the office to myself, the first thing I did is went back and see if they played in January. And to see that the Coyotes beat them in January when he used that for his reference was hilarious. Like, it was so on point. It was fantastic. Like, it made me smile, made light of his situation, and I do feel bad for him. His team is on the ropes right now, and I don't want to say even misspoke. It's when you think of a bad team in the National Hockey League over the last few years, unfortunately,
fair enough.
Oh, sorry.
And you know what else, Petey? The thing is, and like, this is just what I've been like dying for years. It feels like I don't care that the Coyotes are the butt of the joke on the ice. Like, that's fine with me. If you want to insult the Coyotes on ice play, them being bad in the standings, that's totally fine with me. Yes. I just can't stand anymore like this whole
the arena, the city, the fan base
stuff. And I thought this was going to be over 2 weeks ago when the vote came. I thought this is the last we ever have to hear about it. And now the only hate I want to hear is dissecting the Coyotes on ice decisions. This Bruce Cassidy thing, it made me laugh because
me too.
It felt real. Like it's so rare that we as Coyotes people and fans get to experience hate about on ice stuff. So whatever, like, take the shot. We can
take that.
Yeah, we can take it. We
can handle that.
The receipts. It's a really funny conversation situation. But we're just sick of the freaking off ice.
Yes.
And
we get the joke.
Man, it was funny. But all that being said, Petey, what are you thinking for tonight?
Well, I'd be honest, coming into this series, and I said it when we had a series preview, I took the Dallas Stars in this one. I took the Dallas Stars in 6. I thought Dallas was the better team coming in. I still believe that. And if you look at the series, there's been 3 overtime games in the first 5. You go back to game 3, Dallas didn't show up, and they got blown out in game 3. Other than that, these have been all close games. Aiden Hill's been outstanding. Ottinger's been outstanding. And I hate to say this because I don't want to fly back to Vegas tomorrow. I think Dallas wins again tonight, and I think we're going to 7. If Suter doesn't turn over the puck in game 2, right now Dallas is up 3-2. I think Dallas did this to themselves in this series, and I think over the last 2 games, Dallas has finally shown who they are. I'm thinking Vegas is starting to get concerned. Vegas might have had their tickets and planes booked for the finals maybe a shade early, and now they're like, this is Dallas at home. They get Jamie Benn back. Dodonov is maybe questionable for 7. So, well, Dallas, we'll see. And I'm curious to see what the return of Ben does to this team internally in the locker room and on the ice. Does he help? Is he a guy that's is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be an issue between Stone and Ben, or are they just going to play hockey? I like the Dallas Stars in this one, and I'm going to take them 4-2 in game 6.
Whoa, you're coming out with a real prediction. My analysis is much less analytical. I think that this NBA and NHL mirror situation has been so real. And with the Celtics winning game 6 to force game 7, I think that is why Dallas will win game 6 to force game 7.
That's it.
Yeah, they're the NBA and the NHL have
so
just
fun
mirrors of each other.
Fun.
It's insane. I think it's going to go to 7. But I mean, Petey, for your sake, I guess I hope Vegas wins so you can get the heck home. But if not, we're in for a really good series. I was worried when Vegas was up 3-0. Florida swept the Hurricanes. I was thinking, really? Like 2 sweeps?
Yeah.
The beginning of the playoffs have been so much fun. For it to just go down like this was kind of disappointing. So shout out Dallas for, taking it one game at a time. Yeah.
It's going to be a good atmosphere in here tonight. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of people watching the basketball game. So please tune into the hockey game too, because I think it's going to be exciting. And I know that there's a lot of people, at PHNX that love Las Vegas, including the Diefenlock, the locksmith, loves Las Vegas. This will be my 3rd trip in 10 days to Las Vegas. The fun has worn off. The people, ding, 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 ding. It's gone. Like, I've lost it. I do not need to go back there again anytime soon. The sights, the smells, if you know, you know.
Oh man. And you should also watch Game 6 tonight because Petey is working in the
I'm
truck
working again.
in Dallas. I've been saying it, Petey, every day. If you see a draw on TV, Petey did
Well,
it.
there's some good ones coming in the open. It's all on. Yep, we'll see if you see some draws in the open when Ray's talking.
There you have it. So look out for that. And if you're wondering where you can watch Game 6, it's on ESPN, and ESPN is one of the channels on Fubo TV. Fubo TV, they have 140 plus live channels of sports shows, movies, and news, 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. Just all sorts of events coming up, but Game 6 tonight, especially on ESPN. Also, the D-backs on Valley Sports, that's also on Fubo TV. So you can use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Petey, I'm sorry that you haven't been able to enjoy the long weekend. I luckily have, and I've had a Four Peaks beer in my hand, I think half the time. D-backs game Saturday. I had a pool day yesterday. Fueled by Four Peaks, if you will. I've been drinking the Wow. It's the best, in my opinion, daytime beer when it's hot out. Oh, it's so refreshing. So if you want to try Four Peaks and you haven't already, you can buy it wherever you buy your beer. You can also stop by the A Street Pub, check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Got to be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Petey, any final thoughts before we send you back to your other gig?
No, it's going to go back to work. I'm really looking forward to getting back in the Valley, and I hope that we start to get this arena thing resolved sooner rather than later. And I can't wait to talk hockey. We got to talk World Championships. We got Memorial Cup. We got a lot more hockey stuff to talk about. I just want to get home to talk about it. So let's everybody root for Vegas tonight and get me home.
Yep, absolutely. So for Petey's sake, go Vegas. Everybody, thank you so much for being here in our live chat. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube, subscribe to PHNX Coyotes wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Follow along Craig's travel adventures at Craig S. Morgan. You can follow Petey's playoff adventures at SP Tataki. You can follow my, I don't know what I'm really doing this week, adventures at Leah Merrill. You can follow Sean at Sean_DePaz. Follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. Also, I just want to say happy Memorial Day, everyone. Remembering all those we've lost in service and thinking of those people and their families today. So enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.